All right. We are live on Google Live, Hangout Live. It's that time of the week again. It's about a minute before the top of the hour at noon, in which case I'll move over to the speaker things. I just want to get onto the Google Live first, making sure that everything is connected and everything. And so if anybody happens to be on, make sure you jump on, say hello. We're going to talk about some really cool topics today, how to act like a true millionaire. But I'll go deeper into it once we get started on the audio recording side, on the speaker side, so that we can actually make this the official podcast moment. We're on episode number 40 right now, so it's kind of cool. So here we go. It is the top of the hour, kind of fired up. So hang on there for a second while I do that. All right. All right, welcome to the Money Lab live podcast, episode number 40, How to Act Like a True Millionaire. Put that credit card away. All right, welcome back to another live broadcast of the Money Lab from the Six Figure Academy podcast. I am your host, Wei Hong from the Six Figure Academy, and this is the podcast where we give you tips, strategies, and interviews with other entrepreneurs on how to re-engineer bad money stories and habits and other entrepreneurial stuff so that you can create a prosperous and an abundant lifestyle free of financial stress and worry. Now, if you're joining us live today, make sure you get on Spreaker.com or download the Spreaker app. Search for the hashtag the Money Lab, and you can put this right on your phone so that you can join us in the chat room live and ask questions and interact with us and our guest if we have a guest. And while you're there, subscribe so that you don't miss an episode and catch us every single week. For all other ways on how to find us, go to thesixfigureacademy.com/radio for all the details. Now, it's kind of an interesting thing because today is episode number 40. And I forgot to mention, if you aren't on Spreaker.com and you are on Google and YouTube and you prefer that venue, we actually are doing it live there as well. All you have to do is go to the Six Figure Academy YouTube channel, and we'd be broadcasting right there in the channel. Okay, but like I said, today is episode number 40, how to act like a true millionaire and put that credit card away, because it has nothing about you spending money to become a millionaire. And we're not going to talk about that today, although you do have to spend money to make money in some respects, but we'll go deeper into that. But I'm going to start out talking about what we're going to start doing in this, and we're going through some few planning stages going into 2018. Yes, it is December now. We are going to the final stretch of 2017. But what we're going to do with this podcast is we're going to start going out to the community, to the local entrepreneurs, and then bring their insights, their gemstones onto the show so that we can start sharing not just my viewpoints or what I've gathered from working with different entrepreneurs and doing it more third party, but we'll take it directly from the horse's mouth. I'm going to sit there and then ideally we'll go into their place of business, or we have them come into our office at the Six Figure Academy in office studio and actually do the live interaction there. Okay, so look out for a very active 2018 where we're going to be talking to a whole different set of individuals beyond just money, just talking about entrepreneurship in general to help you, the entrepreneur, become more successful in 2018 by basically learning from those who have, from the trials and tribulations of others before you. And even if you have been in business for a long time, you never know what you can learn from your fellow peers that are entrepreneurs. Okay, so very cool. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Again, if you are on Google Live or if you're on Spreaker, notice there is a chat available. There's a chat box. So if any given point in time, we're going to talk some really cool things today, some to debunk some of these myths of what it takes to become a millionaire. And so ask any questions that you would like. So just jump in at any time. Okay. So even if you're listening to this after the fact, and I'll remind you guys again, even if you didn't catch us live, you could still ask questions because our team will stay on top of responding to each and every single one of those comments. Okay. Now, we live in an interesting time. Okay, let's just put it that way. There's an interesting time where, I mean, there's always the phrase of keeping up with the Joneses. Okay, and one of the challenges of of those of you who have set your sights of wanting to become a millionaire, that means making six figures a month, bringing in seven figures a year, whether it be gross or net, whatever your goals are. There is this weird expectation that if this is our path that we need to be on, there's something about having to keep up with the Joneses. And then so what happens is, and especially with the advent of social media and Instagram and Pinterest, where everybody is putting on this facade, this outward persona of what they would like to be. Okay. I mean, we've really gotten really, we've gotten really, really good. Okay, as a society, as a culture, at marketing our dreams as if we're there already. Okay. Which is cool when you're doing visioning, which is cool when you're, setting your goals. You want to go there for a little bit. Okay. And set your goals to do that. But what happens is we get sucked into this trap that we're doing it all the time. And then we have to maintain this facade all the time just because we've set a goal of wanting to get there. But instead of fooling the world into believing that and giving us the opportunities as if we were there already, most of the time, for those of us who do this, and whether it be entrepreneurs or, just ambitious career-driven individuals, most of the time we end up fooling ourselves. And that is the trap. Because true millionaires do not get sucked into that. They do not feel that they need to spend money to put up pretenses or to put up a facade as if they're all that and a bag of chips. Okay. For a long time, there's like the misinterpretation of a lot of gurus out there that suggested, and even I was guilty of saying it to some of my constituents back in the day, which is fake it till you make it and live as if you're there. Okay. What we forget to follow up with is that, yeah, you fake it till you make it, live as if you're there, but don't spend what you need to get there as if you're there. Okay. And what we're talking about is the need to live beyond our means or even living right at our means to hold up a specific facade, a specific perception that we're doing better than we actually am. And that doesn't help us get on our path to become millionaires sooner. It just lets the world know and actually tries to fool the world, to convince the world that, hey, we're all that in a bag of chips and we're already there. So you should see me or conduct with me as if such. Okay. The bottom truth is this: most people that actually look rich, that actually look wealthy, that actually put on these massive campaigns online usually aren't that rich. They make it look as such. They're great marketers and they do it for a way to kind of like suck people into a specific lifestyle perception. Okay. But they usually aren't. They probably spend all their money on the marketing or they spend all their money on the stuff they're putting up to market. Okay. And yes, for those of you who are saying, well, here you are, you're slinging stuff at people. Well, I'm basically calling these people out. I live in LA proper county. I live in Redondo Beach, but LA. So I know. I've seen it. Okay. I've seen the books. I've seen people come across my site and they show me the P&L because I'm one of those coaches that require clients to show me their P&Ls, show me where you're at, show me what's going on. I'm not just going to take it for face value. I'm not just going to take it for what comes out of your mouth. I want to see what your accounting looks like. I want to see what your P&L looks like. And a lot of times, okay, for people that I see very briefly, okay, and they can't handle me calling out their stuff, I basically says, your numbers don't match what you're putting out there. In other words, you're showing up inauthentically, especially if you're trying to use this persona as a way to convince client or bring business into your business, putting up a perception that you are more than what you actually are. Okay. Now, as I talk about, yeah, this is kind of fooling your audience, everything, but you know who it really does impact? Okay. When you're trying to be a millionaire by buying all these different things and nice cars, nice clothes, nice, nice house, whatever the case may be, and spending going way beyond your means, thinking that, okay, I'm just going to fake it till I make it. The person that you're going to impact the most is actually yourself. Because when we fool ourselves and get ourselves into that trap, then that's what the problem. Now, I'm going to start with that just to kind of get you guys to understand. Oh, okay. So let me tell you a couple stories. Okay. I do have a client. I actually do have a multitude of clients that have shifted and basically started working within their means and have become millionaires faster than what they were trying to do before. I had one client that was spending 110% of the revenue time, and he was brilliant at making money. So it made it really easy for him to go beyond his means because he would just set another goal and spend more, spend another goal and spend more. So if one month he was making 50,000, okay, and he spent 55, he said, that's okay. Next month I'll just make 60. And he was brilliant at it and he did make 60. But the problem was he got himself into this habit, says, great, I have 60. Now I can live the 65,000 a month lifestyle. And then when the 65,000 a month lifestyle started giving him a pinch, then you can make 70. So it was a strategy he created to continue to move himself forward and was effective for helping him to make more money, but it was also burning him out. Okay. He was still trading time for dollars, and he wasn't able to leverage himself because he's always constantly on the hustle versus creating using money in the right way to leverage and to be able to kind of grow his business so that the more successful he became, the less he would have to work. Now, what happened was when we shifted him to be making 30%, I mean, not making 30%, but to create a lifestyle for himself where he would only use about 30 to 50% of what he brought in, okay, and added and did a few other strategies, which we'll talk about later, okay. He actually was able to finally reach a net worth of $1 million much faster. In fact, he had never done it before until he shifted the way that he did. He stopped trying to act like a millionaire and started becoming a true millionaire, which was he let go of all the stuff that he thought that people had to see or know about or perceive, okay, or even for himself to prove to himself that he was a millionaire. He didn't have to buy the best of the best all the time so that he could become a millionaire. And this is, again, this is not me saying that this is something that you really want to do, if you want to buy the best of the best, yeah, by all means do it. But I'm talking about for those of you who aren't a millionaire yet and would like to become a millionaire and would like to get there sooner than later. Okay. I don't know anybody who wants to get there slow. I mean, some people do, like excruciating slow, but that's okay. But for those of you who have more ambitious goals as entrepreneurs, as most entrepreneurs do, then this is something that you want to pay attention to, you know. I look around where I live and everything. I have a neighbor that, his net worth is at least 75 million or more. I mean, he's probably closer to 100 million by now. And this guy, if you looked at him, he was walking down the street. I mean, I swear to God, you would think he was just, some beach bum because we live by the beach. So he dresses as such, which is kind of interesting. He doesn't try to put on pretenses. And every time I see him, he's super friendly. And there's one time, I was coming out of the place and I was talking to his girlfriend. And I was like, what's going on? And he said, the car stuck. The guy was driving a 2002 Mercedes, and it was an older Mercedes. I mean, he took good care of it, but for some reason it wouldn't shift, out of park. And so it was stuck in the parking space. And our garage is not the kind where it's you can get like what do you call a tow truck in there to pull it out and stuff like that. So I was doing research, he was doing research, and he found out that the way to do it was to actually take a hammer to the shifter and start banging on it. And I was like, holy cow, don't do that. All of a sudden I hear these boom, boom, boom from the garage. And sure enough, when I walked in there, he was taking a hammer, he was hammering on his Mercedes. Okay. And it's interesting because this guy, obviously didn't have to deal with an older Mercedes dealing with that. I mean, he had other cars but he just really liked it. But it wasn't like, it wasn't like super flashy or anything like that. But he still insisted on driving because it was comfortable and he loved it and he liked it and it was kind of his thing. And so he's sitting there hammering on the thing. And so I'm thinking to myself, God, here's this guy That didn't have to do it doesn't have to do any of it. It doesn't have to, like, pretend like, he's all that in a bag of chips, and the reason why I mentioned it, because 'cause I'll tell you a different story. I used to have this really flashy guru guy that I kinda sorta looked up to back in the day, back when I was younger and I was really driven by money, and in my business that basically sold success when he did these talks and these seminars, and talking about, no, you're successful when you don't bother yourself with, like, the trivialities of life. And I said, "Okay, what do you mean by that?" He says, I see, and he says, "I don't ever worry about my car breaking down. I don't worry about, fixing things on my car." And then he would say something, and it was something as ridiculous as, "Get a flat tire? Who cares? Get a new car." I mean, that was seriously what he was saying, okay? And what it instilled, unfortunately, in the people in the audience was that that was the truth. I mean, if you start acting like that, like you make so much money that you don't even bother with a flat tire. Now, granted, there's some people do that, but, that's kind of like frivolous. Okay, about spending frivolously was the way to justify success, was the way to be successful. And unfortunately, what happened was I looked around in the audience and I just kind of took note of what happened afterwards. What people walked away with was the fact that if you want to be, then you can't be attached to money, but then you spend it frivolously on things because it's not practical and you're not being reasonable. Okay. Now, the sad thing is a lot of entrepreneurship, when people go to these seminars and gurus and everything, a lot of way to get people motivated is to go to these extreme ways of getting people excited about what it means to be successful. And unfortunately, they don't talk about the sequence of at what point can you start behaving that way? At what point can you start spending money for things that you like and want as luxuries? Okay, and forego the necessities that you need to get there, to actually get there. Okay. There is a lack of education about when it's okay to start spending money on the luxuries of things that, in a way, represent your success without actually impacting your business. So what we have now in a culture today, especially with social media now, and that thing has, I mean, because that's more fun, more attractive. You get to buy things, you get to show it off, you get to like let people know. I mean, all of us are born with the need for attention. Okay. And that's something we want to think about really cool. Really. I mean, for those of you who complain about other people being vain, he says, you know what? Here's the thing. Every single human being that's alive today is alive because of the need for attention. Okay, and this is something that we go deeper on in one of our businesses, which is talking about the need for attention as part of our driving forces. Okay, think about that for a moment. If an infant does not get enough attention, literally, what could happen is the infant could die. So every single one of us, in order for us to survive, and we had to come in with a little bit of vanity, with a little bit of vainness, a little bit of need for attention, and that doesn't ever go away as we get older in life. So it's so easy when these perceptions and these social cultural teachings, that in order for us to be successful, we have to look as such, behave as such, have such things. There are people out there that basically market by showing off their car, showing off their house. Look at this cool place that I'm living in, and thinking that that's the way to really get, people to truly get in. Now, it might get people to move a little bit, get excited a little bit, but the follow through then sucks because you spent all your money on the front end and not on making sure that you're delivering what you're talking about. Why? Because you can't afford it, because you spent all your money on your stuff. Okay. This may sound a little soapboxy, but it's kind of me stepping in to say, look, I'm kind of tired of seeing all this is going on in terms of, how we get people to kind of, adopt a certain type of perception and then start to sabotage our journey as entrepreneurs to be successful. Being successful doesn't mean, you know, being able to show up and people look at you and say, oh my God, that guy's a millionaire. Okay. Really important. So, how do you act like a true millionaire? First of all, put that credit card away and really sit down and think about what it means to be a millionaire to you, what it means to be a six-figure success. I mean, remember, like I said, 6 figures a month. brings you $1 million a year. Okay. So this is a good topic that we you need to really dive into. Now I get it. Some of you may not necessarily want to be millionaires. Or when I say be a millionaire, you're totally turned off. So I don't want to be a millionaire. And it's kind of interesting when I asked that question one time and somebody goes, "Oh, I don't want to be a millionaire." I was like, "Why not?" It says too much work. I was like, "Okay, you've got money anxiety. We need to talk about that. This is nothing with had to do with the fact that, because here's the thing. If you are, I mean, being a millionaire helps you afford to do a lot of things beyond helping yourself because there's only so much that you could spend on yourself. People who are millionaires, after a while, when they get to a certain point in their life, they realize, oh, I could do more with this money. I can do more than just feed myself and take care of myself and be greedy about it. I can actually help the planet. I could help someone else. I could donate. I could tithe. I could go create foundations. I could do all kinds of different things. Okay. In a way, if you are have this aversion to becoming a millionaire or to become as financially successful as possible in this era that we live in of capitalism, okay, then one, you can either choose to like find a time machine, go to a time that's more suited for you. But if you were born and raised in this era of capitalism, not choosing to want to be as successful as possible so you can help as many as people as possible, or whatever the case may be, is in an indirect way is selfish. Now, there are people who commit themselves to a life of manual servitude, which is totally fine too. Those types of people are probably not listening to this podcast. But if you are listening to this podcast and you are paying attention, then you're probably amongst the people that can appreciate the fact how much more impactful it is if you had $1 million in your pocket and how much of a difference you could make. So these are the people I'm talking about. And so if you want to do that and you want to start acting like a true millionaire, stop trying to show up and hope that people could see you and see you as a millionaire. Okay. True millionaires don't care if people can see them or view them or know that they're actually a millionaire. In fact, most millionaires um, tend to be a little bit more on the quiet side. I didn't know my neighbor's net worth until somebody else told me because they're closer friends with them and they just talked about some of the things they had, and I just kind of like put it in myself. So they probably have close to $100 million worth of assets. It's like, yeah, they do. Okay. But he never talks about it. I didn't hear directly from him. He doesn't ever ever dresses like it. He likes his nice cars, but I mean, some of them are really old, so you can't even tell if they were new, or not. So it's really kind of important. True millionaires don't spend money to pretend to be millionaires or to tell the world and show the world that they're millionaires. Now, there are people out there who appreciate really nice things and they can't help it and they make enough money to do so, right? So so I just want to get this point across, especially as entrepreneurs. If you're just starting out, if you just hit your six figures for the very first time, and you're really shooting for the millionaire, don't get caught up in having to spend all this money for it. I mean, there's this other article out here that I came across, which is a big challenge that millennials are having, which is, you know, um, basically says if you want to be rich, you need to stop trying to look rich. Okay. And this is a trap that a lot of millennials fall into because of, you know, the how everything is marketed in terms of what success is supposed to be like or feel like, and like, the YouTube sensations and the Instagrams and everything like that. Okay. There's so much that you could do to set up. I was just talking to somebody today who was talking about who's friends with and someone who's very popular on Instagram. And it was like they're never not working. They go out there and you see these people who are taking pictures about where they are, what they're doing, spending some time with good friends. Oh my God, look at this sunset type of thing. And then I got a snapshot of what happens behind the scenes. The friends were all just kind of observing her doing her thing. What she was literally doing, she was taking a picture, doing her little thing. She would go off and change. She would go off and change, redo her makeup, change a different scene, find a different spot and do it. And all this while they were going out to dinner and going out for a nice personal social event. Okay. There's a lot of work that goes into that to give a particular perception of what's going on. And what happens is people buy into what shows up versus what is actually going on. And they think this person is super successful, super rich, right? And the fact is, They spend all their money trying to put that persona up, and they actually are living paycheck to paycheck, or they're living beyond their means, okay? So really, really important. Okay. Vast majority of people are like, and I'm not saying that there are people out there who are doing that and they're not, not everybody's like that. Okay. But there is this pressure that we have to keep up with everything. And social media definitely is not helping out. So you have to learn to have that discerning eye. Okay, on how to do that. Because if your goal is to do that, you need to take care and make sure that you put yourself on that path before you start going out there and showing the world, like, hey, look at me. Okay. So this is the point where we start talking about, okay, great way. I get it. I get all the problems and the challenges around it. I get what it means to be a true millionaire and how I should like, live within my means or not at my means, but not just at my means or beyond my means, but live below my means. Okay. And this is a challenging piece for me too, because for years, and there are times where I find myself catching myself still kind of doing the same thing. I'm one of those guys who um, is great at generating revenue, but when preservation comes around, it has always been one of those challenging things to me because when I was younger, I was forced to do it by my parents, and it became, being a rebel, which is which got me to become an entrepreneur. It's one of those things where, okay, yeah, this is something that I actually have to work on. The revenue generation piece is not as challenging for me as the preservation piece. Okay, so let's talk about that. What you want to do, especially as an entrepreneur, but this applies for anybody really. Okay. What to do as an entrepreneur to make sure that you're acting like a true millionaire, that you're putting yourself on the path to become a millionaire in this lifetime. The sad thing is a lot of people, when they figure out too late and they start putting, the path of their future generations to become millionaires, but not themselves in this lifetime. So why as well get it taken care of in this lifetime so that you can pass on the true teachings and true learnings on how to become a true millionaire to future generations. Okay. The bottom line is this. First talk about the very first thing you have to understand. There's two types of things that you have to understand with revenue to make sure that you get to become a millionaire. And those two things is revenue generation versus revenue preservation. Those two are often kind of lumped into people get really good at generating revenue and think that as long as they know how to make money, they don't have to worry about revenue preservation. I'm guilty of that, just as guilty of that. Okay. But the fact is, if you want to reach millionaire status, you need to be able to have a systematic approach of putting money away so they can use that money, can leverage that money to create bigger, better things. And it's not about to saving this money so you can buy a multitude of lotto tickets so you can make that big score. Me personally, for example, I because I've always had an aversion to it, I learned to work around that, to basically automate the revenue preservation piece. Set up a system where I have certain things happen automatically as soon as money comes in. When that happens, and I don't have to sit there and remind myself and force myself to continue to think about it, just know that have that peace of mind that as soon as money comes in, it gets put away. Then that's what my strategy is, to make sure that I not just have revenue generation, but I also have revenue preservation. Revenue preservation, if that's a weak point for you, then that's something that you need to put your energy into just enough so that you can set up a system with all the brilliant technology we have out there. There's always a strategy that fits you. There's going to be a strategy that fits your approach and your necessities on how to preserve more money. Now, it could be flipped. It could be that you are brilliant and amazing at saving. You're brilliant at revenue preservation, but oftentimes the challenge is you don't have enough revenue coming in to preserve it, to save it. This is different from someone that thinks they can't live off of 90% of the revenue versus someone who really is kind of like running so lean that they have to actually budget what's coming in. So if preservation is not a problem and you feel that you have a pretty good system on how to save money, then maybe what your strategies need to be implemented is on revenue generation. The cool thing is in revenue generation, there's no shortage of strategies out there, techniques out there, teachers out there on how to generate revenue. So that's an easier fix than the other side. Okay. So that's the first thing. The next thing is to shift your approach on when money comes in. As entrepreneurs, it's always exciting to get paid. It's always exciting to get money coming in. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, it's always exciting to get that paycheck. It's like, cool, I have money. Okay. What you need to start to develop is as a habit, okay, is as soon as money comes in, have a set systematic allocation of how much money you want to save first and then you spend second. What? Okay. And when people say, well, aren't you supposed to pay yourself first? Yeah, there's a lot of like teachings out there on entrepreneurship that says, always pay yourself first. Okay. And a lot of people misinterpret that as always spend on yourself first. That's not the case. When you pay yourself first, okay, it's called saving money first. And then what you're paying is when you're saving money, you're paying your future self. Again, if you have challenges doing that, okay, and if it's too painful for you to pay yourself first or to save first when money comes in, especially as a business, you're like, oh my God, then you want to automate that process. Work with your bank, work with your banker, work with the technology out there that as soon as money comes in, boom, a certain percentage gets put away. Okay. I don't care if it's 5%, 2%, 3%. Ideally, you put 20% or more to get to your goals quicker. It's logical. The more you put away, the faster you get to your financial goals in terms of what you want to achieve. And then what you do is if you're not good at figuring out what to do with your money, then that's when you bring the professionals, such as the financial advisors and everything like that, and they'll tell you what to do with that money and what automation to put in place after you automate that 10, 15, 20% that you put away every time revenue comes in. For those of you who say, well, my revenue isn't consistent because I'm an entrepreneur, that's fine. I have a system set up, even if $10 comes in, a certain percentage gets siphoned out immediately. Okay. It has to be that regimented. Okay. For those of you who have challenges with that. Okay. Now, we're not saying that you don't spend money, whether it be an entrepreneur or not. We're not saying don't spend money at all. Okay. But this is more for entrepreneurs is that if you're going to spend money as an entrepreneur and you are not a multimillionaire yet, and even as a multimillionaire, you probably are already doing this. But if you're not a multimillionaire yet, if you're not even a millionaire yet, if you're not a six-figure earner yet, and you're looking to spend money, make sure you have a clear path of ROI. In other words, clear return on investment on money that you spend in regards to your business. As an entrepreneur, especially if you're starting up and you're doing things like, if you're not at six figures yet, if you're not at a comfort zone yet where your money is working for you, your business working for you, and you have the freedom to do so, every dollar that you spend, you should very, very clearly map out how that dollar spent is going to create a return on investment. And if you're a passionate entrepreneur like I am, basically you want to do this on both your personal and your business life, especially in the beginning. As you start to get closer to creating the lifestyle that you want, living within your means of the revenue that you generate from your business, okay, then sure, then you can stop thinking about at home, like, ROI for your personal spending. But your business, however, it still needs to follow that mantra. Before any dollar is spent, map out how that dollar is going to contribute to a return on investment and then follow through on it. If you don't follow through on it, then it's cool that the map is there, but following through on it is going to be critical. Okay. Here's a cool little hack and strategy for those that are bargain shoppers and are good at finding great deals. Okay. If you found, if you, and this is both for personal and business, okay? If you're out there and you're shopping around and you find a really great deal, a lot of times people buy stuff just because they found a great deal, which is cool. There's definitely an art form to that, whether you bargain for it or you're just a really good shopper. But if you found a great deal, here's a little trick that'll help you save money, kind of like these credit cards that give you a percent, for every money that you spend, they put cash back and stuff like that, okay? If you found a great deal, try this little hack to help you give a little acceleration to kind of like a sprinkling on top on saving money. And you talk about, oh my God, I saved 20%, 30%, 50%, whatever the case may be. And if it's something that you would have bought anyway, okay, which is usually if something's on sale, something if it's something that you would buy anyway, what you do is you take the money that you save, the difference from the full price versus the money that you saved, take that savings that you bought for that item that you bought, and immediately take that difference and put it away somewhere. Put it in your savings account, put it in a CD, put it in something, okay? If you don't have the money to put the difference that you saved away, then you really shouldn't be buying that. Okay. Now I get it if it's a necessity, if it's like food, or if it's something that you have to have in order because it's a life or death circumstance, then don't worry about it. But if it's something like a camera, it's something like a computer monitor, or if it's something like, you know, something to upgrade, some especially if it's an upgrade to something that you already have. Okay, the money that you save, and this goes with cars too, big purchases too. Let's say the retail cost, the sticker price for a car is like 50,000, okay? And you bought it for 45. You bought it for 5 grand off the sticker price, and you're going around, you're telling people, say, I got it for 5 grand off the sticker price. Great. My question, if you told me, says, great, did you take that 5 grand and put it away somewhere so you saved it? Says, well, no, I don't have that. Then you shouldn't buy the car. If you can't buy something at the full retail value, okay, and you're only buying because you can afford buying it for the lesser price, then you shouldn't be buying what you're buying. Okay, let me repeat that. If you are buying something that you want or need for your business or even for your personal life, and if at the full retail value you can't afford it, then it's not something that you should buy. In other words, if you can't take the difference between the savings you got off the retail and immediately put it away somewhere, then you really should not be buying that item or that service. Okay. Really think about that and see about applying that boundary or that discerning factor, okay, into your buying process. Because at the end of the day, acting like a true millionaire doesn't mean spending like one. In fact, it's quite the reverse. Most true multimillionaires that are netting millions of dollars, okay, you'd be surprised at how they actually go about their strategy of determining whether or not they should buy something. It's actually a pretty um, diligent process, okay? Now, like I said, it's not an absolute. Guaranteed there are people out there who just have this knack for making money hand over fist. They're just really brilliant about that. And they spend money like it's water and they just make money like it's water. And so they just kind of like in the flow all the time. But we're talking about people who are capable of creating generations of wealth, you know, have this innate understanding of creating deep, deep, deep financial success and creating a lifestyle that truly works and supports that and is incongruent, is in not incongruent, but is congruent with what they're making. That's the kind of millionaire that you want to be. That's the kind of six-figure lifestyle that you would want to create. Okay. Could be 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever the case may be. 6 figures a month is still 7 figures, okay? So 6 figures is really kind of a cool little benchmark on all across all boards. If you wanna go beyond 7 figures, then it's 6 figures a week. Is that right? 6 figures a week, 100,000 times 50. Yeah, that comes out to be, uh anyway, 50 times 100 is, 500 times 50. Okay, so maybe it's 5,000,000. Is that 5,000,000? Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay. But you know what I'm talking about. You want to go beyond that, make 6 figures a day. Okay. 6 figures is a good little benchmark to start to kind of push things through and stuff like that. But, in order to get to that first 6 figure mark, start making 5 figures a month. Okay. So really think about that. I mean, I don't have to beat this, beat this off, beat this off. Terrible. Okay, I don't have to beat this to death. Okay, this is, in today's topic on how to act like a true millionaire. Okay, is first and foremost putting that credit card away and start to really think about what the ratio is for your revenue generation and your revenue preservation and what strategies you have in place. and stop trying to pretend to be a millionaire. Stop trying to like fake it till you make it and live as if you are. And start to really look at your surroundings. Says, look, if you are living at your means or beyond your means, stop it. Okay. And start to see how you can create a life or create a lifestyle that is still close to what you want. And it's absolutely possible living at, say, even 80% of your means, you know? Or you could be some of my clients who get pared down and still don't sacrifice a ton. They just shift things around and they're living at 30 to 50% of their lives, and they're able to get to where they want to go, become millionaires faster, significantly faster, because it starts to become an exponential thing. Because what happens is you put more money away, big chunks, you could use those big chunks and leverage that to create bigger chunk results. It becomes exponential. Okay. So really, really important. And if you partner yourself with the right financial advisor, the right wealth manager, they can do a phenomenal job of creating those different strategies. There's so much technology out there. You just have to be willing to put your ego aside, put your fear of judgment aside, and let that go, so that you can truly bring in the resources to help you get to where you really want to go. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it. You know, how to act like a true millionaire by putting that credit card away. Would love to hear your thoughts on this. If you're listening to this after the live show, then basically put in your comments, put in your questions, reach out to us, reach out to me. It's really easy. I'm not that difficult to find. If you haven't downloaded my free ebook, From Money Anxiety to Six Figure Mastery, and if you're struggling to get to that six figure place, then money anxiety might be what's getting in the way. In fact, I know there's an aspect of where your challenges are to getting to six figures. That's probably a big part of it. Go to go.thesixfigureacademy.com. My video will pop up. Put in your name and email. You'll get it. And you also get a 5-part e-series where I go deeper onto each of the concepts. And it has created a lot of results. Okay. I've had people actually come back and say, you know, wait, I don't think I need any of your products. Your ebook and your 5-part e-series was so full of good, juicy content that I got results already. And then it helped me get over that hump that I needed. I said, great, I made too good of a job. And now I'm going to put myself out of business. But anyway, but then there are those people who say, you know, I need a little bit of help. I need a little support. We have restructured all kinds of facets of our services to make it so much easier for people like you to get on board, to get the support that you need without having to break the bank. Okay. So anyway, all kinds of cool stuff. Just make sure you come by, check it out, get the free ebook, connect with us, reach out, say hello. I mean, I'm very accessible, would be open to talk to you. So just reach out. But other than that, that's it for this week. Hope you got a lot of cool nuggets. If you found that this would be valuable, and if you know somebody who is struggling because they're trying to act like a millionaire or act like they're rich, but they're really not quite there yet, share this with them. Share this podcast. Share this particular episode, because you could potentially be saving a life. Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, that was great. That was cool. Next week, we are going to be talking about a different topic. And hopefully, now that we're starting to go out there and look for other entrepreneurs to talk about and bring on the show, hopefully we can get somebody on the show, or maybe a repeat guest, to share their insights about 2017. So for the rest of the year, we're going to be talking about insights of what people have learned from this past year. So start thinking about that. Other than that, have a phenomenal week. Like I said, look forward to hearing from you guys about anything that you may have about acting like trying to be something that you're not. But if I don't hear from you, have a great week, and we'll catch you guys next week.